Hi, I'm Jeffrey Steefel. I'm the executive producer for Infinite Crisis, and I work for Turbine.
So let's start by talking about what's going on with the storyline in this game.
So basically, the universe is falling apart. All the universes are falling apart, and you've been chosen to be the protector to help this Earth, which is one of many, many Earths, kind of restore the balance. So you are tasked with getting a team of superheroes and supervillains together and going and fighting these battles to kind of bring things under control.
So talk a little about the different variations of each of these characters. You mentioned 3 different worlds.
Yeah, so actually we announced yesterday 6 worlds that we're starting with, all different types of universes. So for example, even behind me here we have Batman. So Batman that you know and love, but we've also got Vampire Batman. Nightmare Batman from a nightmare world. We've got Gaslight Batman, who's from a sort of steampunk turn-of-the-century world. And so you can imagine this for all different types of characters. Imagine Joker from a steampunk world, or Joker from a nightmare world, or perhaps from a sort of a more arcane, old Elizabethan kind of time. This gives the opportunity to have all these characters that people know, but at the same time, unique, alternate versions of them. And all of those are going to be playable characters in the game with their own unique power sets.
Can you kind of break down, for instance, like Batman, how he would be different across a couple of the different universes?
Yeah, sure. So, for example, Batman is Batman as you know him. He's obviously going to be doing the things that you expect Batman to do. Gaslight Batman is more from the steampunk era. So he has these sonic weapons. Everything's about sound. So there's these mechanical contraptions that he uses to, send sonic force across the playfield to attack people and defend himself and stuff like that. You've got Nightmare Batman, who's really more like a vampire. So his ultimate attack is to bite you in the neck and attack you just like a vampire would. And he has a special type of batarang. His stealth move, Nightmare Batman, is to actually turn into a swarm of bats, go invisible, and then when he comes back, the swarm of bats is there and actually does damage to all the people that are around him. So it's just endless possibilities for gameplay.
Let's talk a little about the map you guys are showing here and just explain what the environment's like.
Sure. So we're actually working on 3 maps right now. So the one that people are playing today is in Gotham Heights. So it's a version of Gotham, basically contemporary version of Gotham. The gameplay mode is, capture point, very similar to what people have seen in, like a Dominion map. We are also working on a tri-lane map, which is going to also take place in Gotham, but some alternate versions of Gotham. We're playing that right now, actually, at Turbine. And then we have a 3rd custom map that we're building. We're not talking about that just yet, but it's going to be really, really cool. So, imagine the environments also reflecting some of the places that we've talked about, some of these alternate universes, whether it happens to be Gaslight or Arcane or, fantasy, whatever it happens to be, eventually the environments will start to reflect that as well.
Can you talk about how events will impact the environment? You mentioned a meteor, for example.
Yeah, so one of the other things that we're bringing to the game is what we call destructive PvP, and one of the things that makes that up is the catastrophic event. So in what's being played today, you have a meteor that's basically coming from another universe, comes crashing into the map, and creates a hole and changes basically the direction that you can go on the map. More importantly, creates new opportunities for players. So there's artifacts that this meteor has brought with it that can actually help your team get some buffs and things like that. And the whole concept of this catastrophic event is that it's kind of like an audible in a sports game. The quarterback's looking out over the field and seeing the other team's changing what they're doing, so we have an opportunity to respond, something we might have practiced. It really brings that to the game. So there's a little bit more variation in the choices that you have as a player.
In addition to those types of events, how else do you feel this MOBA is pushing the genre forward?
Well, first of all, since we're playing superheroes and supervillains, the map itself is destructible. So, I'm not going to feel super if I'm not able to break down walls and, crash buildings and do things like that. So a lot of the map is actually interactive and destructible, including things like we have a set of skills called Stolen Powers, which will enable you to do things like throw a car, for example. So if I get super strength and I apply it to my character, I can now pick up a car that's in the map and throw it at another person, or maybe rip down a telephone pole and beat them over the head with it. So the ability to interact with the environment as part of gameplay is another big part of what we're doing.
Can you talk a little about player progression and how that will play a role into things?
Yeah, so like you would expect in a MOBA, there's the character progression that happens in a match that is not persistent, and that'll be very much like what people expect. The meta advancement, the account level advancement, is going to be influenced by things that we call amplifiers. A lot of the things that we've done in the past at Turbine has had to do with this sort of long-term meta, persistent, account advancement. So we're going to bring a lot of that to bear for this. So there'll be lots of different ways that you can actually progress and grow, both as a player and also your individual characters.
Can you talk a little about the opportunities you see for this game when it comes to the esports field?
It's been really interesting to see what's going on in esports. Obviously this genre is tailor-made for it. We think that with the catastrophic events and with just the DC brand and some of the cool stuff that we're doing with DC, even from a spectator point of view, watching these games, watching them unfold, we think is going to be really exciting to esports fans. And then for the players themselves, the pro players, we think this is a really deep, really competitive MOBA that they're going to really dig their teeth into. So we actually can't wait to take advantage of that and get involved with it as well.
What do you think it is about the MOBA genre that has become so entrenched in esports?
It's an opportunity for people to, acquire real player skill, but and then demonstrate it and really show off, just like you do in any kind of sport or exhibition sport. And the sessions are short enough and accessible enough that it's not like some other games where you all have to come together and play for 10 hours to actually have a session. The fact that you can come together and play a match for 20 minutes, 30 minutes lends itself really well to this kind of quick sort of competitive cycle.
We're starting to see esports take off, but what impact do you see having DC characters that everyone knows playing and maybe attracting a new audience to pro gaming?
We're definitely hopeful that the DC brand and all these characters and their wild incarnations are going to get new people taking a look at it and getting excited about it. And like I said, I think it also makes just spectating, watching these games, which is a big part of it, more fun because every one of the characters people have some sort of relationship with. So it'll be exciting.